What up, witches? Welcome to Witchin and Bitchin, the podcast. I'm your host, Darren.
And I'm Vicky. How are you all today? The reason I am giggling for those who cannot see this, aren't watching it on YouTube, is that Darren is wearing a mask. He has it's actually a very beautiful mask made from leather, but it's in the shape it's full of faces. But it's got beautiful, it's like a stag. I haven't seen any stags do that though.
I'm so sorry, guys. I had to do
However,
it.
it is an absolutely beautiful and amazing mask that's very on point today with its beautiful antlers and little ears.
Shout out to Rye from Elfheim. Thank you for sourcing this amazing mask. You always have such fantastic stuff. By the way, we are not paid for that endorsement. I'm just no.
Just like to share the love.
Just like to share the love and plug the places that we support.
Yeah, that's right.
But maybe one day, I mean, Rye, if you're listening, we've done this a few times. If you're listening, we would absolutely love to have you on our show. So, really Rye, hit me up.
Hit us up.
Yeah.
Let's lock it in.
Yes, lock it in.
I'm going to spritz now because I don't know. So
we're guys, okay. Before we do that, though, guys, we're going to have to, I need to run this by you. So I come up with the idea that we need to have a T-shirt that says, when in doubt, spritz. And it has Witchin and Bitchin the podcast, like our little logo on it or something. I think when in doubt, spritz. Yeah,
definitely. I think that is a brilliant.
It'll be like a number one seller.
It will be. It'll be me there with all my spritzing.
So, what are we talking about today, Vicky?
Oh my gosh, that was a really long way of getting there, wasn't it? So we're talking about
always.
I know. We're talking about Midsummer, the Summer Solstice, Litha, all the different names that you may call it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to chat all things Midsummer, Litha today.
And so we're heading into Christmas. Why are we talking about Litha?
Because we live in the Southern Hemisphere. That is why. So the traditional wheel of the year, or the traditional witches calendar, is actually based on the Northern Hemisphere, or actually northwestern Europe, really. A lot of the where the seasons and things line up. So for us, we have to flip it 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment, they're celebrating midwinter or Yule, and we're celebrating Midsummer or the Summer Solstice or Litha, whatever you call it. So that's where the kind of crossover comes off with Christmas.
So it's like where we've got that interesting, what's the word? That contentious point of which do you celebrate, or do you celebrate both? But we're going to touch on that a little bit later.
We're going to touch on all that. So I think that's going to be a kind of a common theme for all of the Sabbats with us, because it just doesn't quite line up with our general calendar.
Yeah, not at all. It's like when we have Ostara, it's technically Mabon, and when it's Mabon, it's Ostara. Like they're flipped and reversed.
Yeah, it's all flipped around.
Like Missy Elliott.
Shout out to Stacey. She'd love that too.
Really?
Yeah, she loves Missy.
Oh, good. I do too. Get your freak on, which is actually on point for Litha. It's about getting your freak on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean, maybe more Beltane.
I was going to say, not as much.
Litha, like same.
Yeah, it's all same. It's all fertility stuff.
I'd like to. Okay, we're not going back there. No. After the last few episodes and the one-track mind that we both have had, everyone's going to think that we're like some
they'll be like, what is
deprived podcasters who just have one thing to talk about. Let's talk about sex, babe. Let's talk about birds and bees. No, I'm just kidding. Well, to bring it back to topic,
Let's come back.
I wanted to start off this episode by reading a little passage from a book.
Ooh, I like.
So, the sun shines brightly overhead as witches dance around a bonfire and feast on fruits and vegetables fresh from the fields. Children laugh and play, rolling wheels that symbolize the sun and chasing shining bubbles that float through the air like fairies. It is the summer solstice, also known as midsummer or Litha. The earth rejoins in abundance and light, and so do we. Midsummer is the longest day of the year and the shortest night. The sun has reached its zenith and is at the height of its power magically as well. After today, the days will grow imperceptibly. Geez, that was a long word.
What was that?
imperceptibly shorter, moving us into the dark half of the year. At the winter solstice, the entire process reverses, and we will move again toward the light of midsummer. So, in the Northern Hemisphere, the summer solstice falls around June 21, at the
Yeah.
point when the sun enters Cancer or Capricorn in December, if you're in the southern half of the world. And it's celebrated, it's a celebration, sorry, of the sun, of fire, and of the bounty of the land. So,
Yeah.
that's why for us, we're celebrating it on around the 21st of December,
Yeah,
give or
it's usually,
take.
I was gonna say it's usually somewhere between the 20th and I think to the 22nd or 23rd. It can
Yeah,
fall.
it really depends. It's an
Yeah.
astrological thing. So
Yeah.
if
It's
in
not a
doubt,
set date kind of thing.
check out an almanac.
Yeah.
Or a witch's diary, which you can get
Yeah.
them from. Like, I know Spellbox have them. I know Stacey DeMarco makes one. I know Llewellyn Publishing makes one.
Yeah,
Like,
there's quite a few.
you can get them pretty much anywhere these days.
Yeah.
All new agey stores will have them,
Mhm.
or any like witchy stores as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously over the years, the practices of the tradition have changed somewhat.
Mhm.
But it's something that's, I believe, from my knowledge, it's something that's widely accepted as being one of the major holidays, even for non-pagan communities or non-witch communities. It's actually quite common for people to actually celebrate the solstices,
Yeah, yeah, it
in
is. It's
various
one of those
ways.
it's kind of those like worldwide kind of things that's, I guess it's almost a little bit remnants of their pagan past,
Hmm.
a little bit that's still celebrated through everywhere.
Well, on that, I actually have got some notes about how they
Oh,
used to
lovely.
celebrate.
Go for
So
it.
excuse the random tale for those watching on YouTube.
I love it.
My cat Callie, as soon as we record an episode, she's like, I need to be next to you, and I need to be touching you, and I need to be sitting on you, and
Yeah, and I need to just put my tail through.
yeah,
Nothing else, just my
just
tail.
the tail. And it's like, pat me, pat me. No, don't pat me that much. No, no, no,
It's too
no.
much.
Anyway, so in ancient Greece, as befits a fire festival, the summer solstice was a time when the Titan Prometheus was said to have given the gift of fire to human beings,
Oh, I didn't know that.
thus enabling them to go on and create civilized society. And the goddess Athena was also considered to have solar attributes. And the Greek year began on the first new moon after the summer solstice, a holiday known as Panathenia or Panathenia,
Yeah.
was held in her honor, and the people prayed to her to bring rain for the crops.
Oh, I love that.
I knew you would.
I
I'm
love
full
all
of
these
all the
little fun
facts.
facts. I know. I love all these little fun facts. I love it.
So then moving to ancient Rome. So for the
Yeah.
ancient Romans, midsummer was considered sacred to Juno, the Roman counterpart to Hera,
Yep.
who was married to Jupiter, the king of the gods, which is the equivalent to Zeus.
Yep.
So like Hera, Juno was the goddess of marriage, which is one of the reasons June, the month named in her honor, has always been one of the most popular times to get married. This is obviously talking about Europe because we're talking about Rome.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And married women celebrated the goddess Vesta, who ruled over the hearth fires and the home, with the festival of Vestalia. So
Ooh.
these are all. This is. I'm just trying to portray how these things all tie together.
Yeah, how they work. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
really fascinating to then see how that's kind of trickled down
Mhm.
to modern day to create some of these practices and things like that.
So then in ancient China, the Chinese considered the summer solstice to be a yin, female holiday, and its counterpart, the winter solstice, to be yang, male. And celebration centered around fertility and the renewal of the earth, and the smoke from burned offerings was said to carry their prayers up into the heavens. Now, interestingly, they call it the summer solstice is a yin celebration because yin is black.
Yeah.
And the winter solstice is
Oh.
yang. I'm guessing it's because from the summer solstice, it gets darker. And from the winter
Yes, I
solstice,
guess,
things
yeah.
get lighter. So I
Yeah.
guess that would be why they would do it in that manner.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say, because that's quite opposite, really. Because it's
Opposite to what you would
usually
assume.
yeah, because we normally assume the solar like is usually the more masculine side.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Then to the Saxons, Norse, and Germanic peoples, midsummer was also mid-year for the Saxons, whose year began with the winter solstice. It is thought that the word Litha, often used as an alternative name for the summer solstice, may have originated from the Saxon word for the month of June, meaning light or moon. It actually entered popular use after J.R.R. Tolkien used the word Litha for a midsummer festival in his Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, I love that. That's a great fun fact.
Especially because we're like a little bit geeky.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like right
Yeah.
up my alley.
So the Saxons celebrated Thor, the god of thunder, because he brought much needed rains. The Germanic tribes originally celebrated the sun's triumphant ascension with huge bonfires. And then after the Christians came, this holiday was adapted into the feast of Saint John, or Johannesnacht in German,
Ooh.
which translates to John's night, which is often still observed by lighting fires on the hilltops. And in Finland, the summer solstice was called Juhannus, and was an especially joyous occasion because of the light after many months of darkness. So the Vikings met at Midsummer to deal with legal matters and resolve disputes, and they built huge bonfires and made pilgrimages, long word, I'm not coping today, to sacred healing wells. Some of these traditions are still celebrated on Midsummer in Iceland.
Wow.
And whilst I know I'm giving you guys a lot of information,
This is cool. I love
but
it.
it's because like obviously we want to educate, and I'm referring to a book. Like I'm not just blah 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 word vomit, but it's also to back up some of the things that we're going to be talking about when we talk about what you can do or how we practice the solstice. Obviously, then the large group that most people associate with when they talk about neo-paganism is the Celts and the Druids.
Yep.
So much of what we know about the ancient Celts and Druids is secondhand, since they didn't write anything down, but it is believed that the Druids celebrated the summer solstice as representing the marriage of heaven and earth. They gathered sacred herbs, including mistletoe berries, to be later used for healing and magical work. And the sacred tree, the oak, was burned in midsummer fires, and they crowned an oak king. Then the ancient Celts are thought to have used the light and energy of the sun to banish evil spirits and demons. They also lit bonfires and sent burning wheels down hills. And couples would jump through the flames for luck. And the higher they jumped, the higher the crops would grow. So this is going to connect up to when you start telling us about your protection stuff soon.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. There's not much more to go, trust me.
No, I love it. This is great.
In other areas of Europe, so in ancient Gaul, which is a region of Western Europe during the Iron Age and Roman era, which covered the territory that includes present-day France, Luxembourg, Belgium, most of Switzerland, and northern Italy, as well as parts of the Netherlands and Germany. The midsummer celebration was called the Feast of Epona, in honor of the goddess of fertility, agriculture, and horses. In Russia, the midsummer holiday was known as Kupalo, from the word kupati, which means to bathe. Oh, that's the same in Serbian. Anyway, and was celebrated by mass baths on midsummer morning. And in Portugal, it was believed that water possessed special healing powers on St. John's Eve, spiritual humanism. A midsummer tree and maypole dances are still a focus of Swedish celebrations.
Wow.
And then my last one is Native Americans. So midsummer celebrations were common among many Native American tribes, though now I apologize to any First Nations people if I bastardize these words, because I am not Native American in the slightest. The Hopi or Hopi Indians of Arizona held dances featuring kachinas. So kachinas are masked dancers who represented the spirits of fertility and rain and took messages to the gods. And I don't know how to say this word. It's a French word. It's Sioux.
Sui?
Yeah.
Sui? Yeah.
And the Natchez perform ceremonial sun dances. Many of these traditions continue to the present day. So I apologize, guys. Again, I'm not I speak many languages, but these are not.
I was going to say you do very well with your pronunciation of different words.
Thank you.
You do.
Why? Thank you. I mean, I'm setting the bar pretty low, but. But yeah, so that's like obviously I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight into how they used to celebrate. And on that note, though, even the word solstice. It comes from the Latin word sol, meaning sun, or stitium, meaning stand still. So solstice is when the sun stands still. According to the Latin history. But when we talk about ancient practices and solstice, or the solstices, whatever the plural is.
I don't know what they are.
I feel like it's solstices.
I think it's solstices.
Yeah,
but it just seems like there's a lot of sounds in there.
But yeah, so a lot of people associate the summer and winter solstice, mainly the summer solstice, with Stonehenge.
Yes. Yeah, because that's quite a big thing to watch. I actually think you can I
I
think they're
do.
live streaming it this
I
year.
do.
Oh,
I
you
watch I
do.
watch it
I love it.
every year. I watch the winter solstice and the summer solstice
Oh,
live
wow.
from Stonehenge,
Yep.
which is always fascinating. But I think that I caught the wrong one. It's like, because if you watch the winter solstice
Oh,
and you watch, I can't remember if you're supposed to watch sunrise or sunset. They do both.
yeah.
But the day that I watched, I think, sunset for the winter solstice, it was
Yeah, I
so
think it is.
cloudy and grey that
You couldn't see anything
I couldn't
anyway.
see shit.
It didn't quite have
All I
the
saw was
same.
this slight hue in the grey clouds.
I
Um,
might have to pop that on my list of things to do this year.
yeah, there's actually a Facebook event, so I've
Is it?
clicked going, and so that way
Oh,
they
cool.
just
I'll go
update
find
you
it.
with. I'll
Yeah,
see if I
when
can
it's
find it to you. Maybe I'll share
yeah.
it on our page, so if anyone else wants to
Yeah.
do that, they can.
Yeah.
Because it's thought that an ancient culture built Stonehenge as a way of marking the arrival of the solstice. And NASA lists it as one of the 5 oldest observatories in the world. So the gigantic stones were transported from Welsh mountains that were about 240 miles from Stonehenge's location in Wiltshire.
That just fascinates me
On
that
the,
they could do that.
I know, on the Salisbury Plain, although how that was accomplished between 3100 and 1500 BCE has never been explained.
That's
Like,
amazing.
it's the same thing with like Egypt and how they built the
Yeah.
pyramids. Like, no one knows.
Nah, it's still one of those points that I don't know if we'll ever really know.
No, because look, I'm a firm believer, just going off topic a little bit, but as
We
you
love a
say,
good tangent.
yeah. Yeah, it's a common fact. But yeah, so it's said that under the patriarchal system that we currently reside, which includes Christianity and all those things, if they were to redate all of our ancient practices or all of our ancient sites, like, because they say that Egypt was 5,000 years old, but now there's a lot of new studies that show it's actually not. It was the golden age of Egypt was actually 15,000 years old or more. But if we say
Oh,
that then means that there was a civilization that was far more advanced than we are today, because it's far
yeah.
easier for us as modern day people to subscribe to the fact that we're the superior version of humans,
Yes.
and that everyone else before us was like hunter gatherer, barbaric kind of
Yeah, that's right.
club wielding people. So
Not
it's
as
just,
sophisticated as
I
us
think it's
kind
a
of thing.
very egotistical
It
approach to
is.
history.
It really is. Like,
Mm.
because I mean, you look at the like all the sacred sites and all of those things, like they are really amazing feats of like
Mm-hmm.
human engineering and things like that. Like, I think it far surpasses things that we do today.
Mm-hmm. But I think it also then stems from, like, for example, if you think of the fight between modern medicine and
Yes.
alternative practices.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
what us as witches, we tend to practice things like energy healing and Reiki, and we believe in like aromatherapy and
Yeah. And
pressure
even
points and
herbal
herbal
medicine
remedies and stuff like that. And
is
it's
a
like, I think in a patriarchal society, it's far easier to just control
yes.
with pharmaceuticals and
Yeah.
with controlled organization,
Yeah.
controlled religion, controlled legal system, da 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 da,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very patriarchal, very masculine
Yeah.
way of dealing with things.
Way
Just
of
think of,
doing.
like, I mean, guys, think of the Emperor card in
Yeah.
tarot. He's sitting on a fucking concrete block. Like, he's
Yeah.
all about dominating the world around him. That's the
Yeah.
epitome of patriarchal society.
Yeah.
Whereas you have the Empress, which is all about the abundance and about the like fertility and about doing what's right for you
Nature.
and about
Yeah.
self-love and self-care and all that stuff. And that's what these ancient cultures are said to have practiced, is that matriarchal approach to things,
That's right.
which everyone would share, and everyone, like, everyone
A
would
much more
do all that
community kind of,
stuff.
yeah, like it, like that old saying of like it took a village to raise a child kind of thing. Like it was that whole community sense of
Well,
thing.
in my
It
in
does.
my baby making, it actually will take
Well,
a
it
village.
actually does.
But that's a different topic. Let's not go there.
Yeah, it's a good thing. But it is that kind of bountiful society that is a lot more in flow, I guess, with what's around it and not trying to control it
100%.
so much.
100%. So, well, that's I guess that's talking about the ancient practices. Let's kind of skip forward a little bit to the more modern practices, I guess. Now, I don't have any specific ones, but like what I wanted to kind of talk about is, like, because a lot of countries do observe the solstice,
Yes.
and like whilst back in the day, people maybe used to make these big bonfires and jump over bonfires and stuff like that. Like where we live, I mean, I know in particular for you,
Yeah, we can't.
can you imagine lighting a fire on the 21st or thereabouts of December?
No, you will get fines. You will have police come. You'll have the whole thing because we go into fire ban season from 1st of November, I think
Yeah.
it is. So
Yeah,
we're
because
not allowed to
we
have
said that
fire
for,
of any time.
we were talking
Yeah.
about that for Beltane. Like you can't, you
Yeah,
have to
like
do it
you
on
only
October
just
31st.
you could only just get in. So a big no because that's right in the peak of our kind of bushfire season.
Yeah.
And when because everything's just so dry here.
Yeah. So I mean, and obviously, like I mean, there are stories from ancient practices of people like frolicking in the woods in the nude and stuff like that. Like if we did
Yeah.
that here,
Could you imagine?
unless you live in San Francisco, because I know that it is actually legal to
Oh, is
display
it?
nudity. Yeah, it's actually
Oh,
you're allowed to walk
well,
around
there
in
you
the nude.
go.
They're very free spirited there.
Oh, good on them. I
Bunch of
love
bloody
it.
hippies. No, I'm just
Yeah, I love it.
but yeah,
Whereas I think it might be frowned upon a little bit if I ran around in my backyard.
I mean, look, if
For
there are
all to
witches that
see.
are wanting to do that on the solstice, just look for your local nudist beach.
Yeah. See,
I mean, you can watch the sunrise on your nudist beach, and that would be a way of
definitely.
honoring it.
Yeah.
But
Or just make sure if you have a private backyard.
but who does these days?
I know ours you can see in.
Yeah. Maybe that's something like when we set up our Patreon, we can like raise money to set up a sanctuary for witches, and it's like this completely secluded little like massive acreage that people can frolic in the nude as much as they want.
Yep, that's it.
Oh my God, listen to me.
I
Hi Karen.
Love you, Mama.
That's Vicky's mom. Yeah.
That's my mom.
But like, so basically, the ways that I like to celebrate the solstice, like keeping it just to the simple ritualistic practices, like
I think that's the best.
for me, it's all about. I like to watch the sunrise on, or watch the sunset, or honor the sun when it's at its peak. So, which is at noon.
Which is at noon.
So either one of those really is
them.
fine. It's watching it rise, watching it peak, or watching it come down. Oh God.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm talking about other things.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I did.
Oh God, I've just lost my train.
So there's lots.
Why does this always happen?
But whatever time of the day suits you.
Yeah, I mean, look, if your altar where it's set up, like let's say you can't go outside for whatever reason, like you're in an apartment, you don't have a balcony or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're bound to being indoors and you know that the sun comes through the window where you do your practices at 2 p.m., then do it then.
Perfect.
Because in the end of the day, it's whenever the sun is at its brightest, or is able to shine its light on you, because it's basically the festival of light.
That's it. It's all about the sun and that peak of the solar power. Like it's the peak, the longest day. So that's where it's at its peak. And then from then onwards, we're moving into the dark time of the year.
Exactly.
Phase.
Exactly. What types of things do you do? Let's go into more nitty gritty. Like what specific practices do you do?
Well, for me, one thing that I like to do is it's a good time to do some like protection charms and things like that. And one of them that you can do, which I'm going to spell this to you because you're much better at pronouncing things than I am.
Okay.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. So it comes from Central and South America. So a lot of also in Mexican culture as well.
Okay, so it's going to be Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's OJO. DE is the next word. And then the next word is DIO.
Okay, so it's Ojo de Dio, which literally translates as Eye of God.
Yes, perfect. Because they're what we know them as God's eyes, which I know we've spoken about before in some of our episodes.
I'm holding one up for those on YouTube.
Yeah, so it's usually, even like when you were a kid, we used to make these at school and stuff sometimes as well, where it's two pop sticks in like a cross, so an equal armed cross, and then threaded around it is wool, usually wool or whatever other kind of fabrics and things like that you can use. I've seen some really amazing ones that have been made really huge, like, and they've gone and gathered just sticks and things from outside, and then you can also increase that a little bit as well with these to make it a little bit more like the solar, how you mentioned about the solar wheel, where there's the 8-spoked wheel, which is one of the things that were rolled down the hill, set a light and rolled down the hill. So you could actually do it with 8, so that there's 8 parts to it as well, and then try to weave it in. I've seen some really huge ones that are probably like at least a meter or so wide that you can do. So that's a cool little thing too.
I think we even talked about this one in our protection episode, all about protection
we
symbols
did.
and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a really great time to do it because it's also representing, because we've got that solar aspect. You can also weave in the colors and things like that you that are associated, so like yellows and reds, things like that. And it's a really good time to do some like protection magic, and whether it's a craft or a protection spell, things like that, because you've got that peak of power. That's what we're kind of tapping into a little bit. So you're tapping into that solar power.
Some other craft activities, like I did this one, actually I made this for Beltane, but realistically it could be used, because it's a spring festival, it can be used for the for Litha as well.
Yeah, it can
basically
be.
You can make a little wreath, which I've put on for those who are watching on YouTube. You can make a little wreath, or this one for me, I made it the right size so that it doubles up as a table ornament. So you can just put your table
and put like a big candle in the middle or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this does end up going on my dining table when I'm not recording, with usually some candles in the middle, or I put a little deity, like in this instance I've got Pan in the middle here, which is often revered in the for Midsummer.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a beautiful way of like creating a little altar as well, without it being really huge or lots of different aspects. It can just be a very small kind of thing.
And on that note, in actual fact, like I forgot to touch on it before, is Midsummer. Like the first thing I think of when I think of Midsummer is Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
Which is the written by William Shakespeare.
Yeah, Shakespeare
and that's
play.
all about the fairies and the nymphs and the this and the that and the sylphs and whatever, and it very much about like frolicking through the bushes.
I was going to say it's all very frolicky and
and
enchanted and very awesome, which is often, there is a lot of people do associate sort of the fae and fairies with summer solstice as well.
Little goblets up here.
Yes.
I know that's
kind of
only
from Beltane through to summer solstice is kind of that season, I guess.
I know this is a very stereotypical representation of the fae. It's like with the long pointed ears and whatnot, but like
that's okay.
That's how they look to me. Okay?
I was going to say, I always think that being spirits, all of those sort of things, they come to us in a way that we can resonate, that it resonates with us a little bit. And so if that's 100%. What they want to look like, then that's okay. It's fine.
So on the topic of flowers.
Yes.
Did you know there was another practice that they used to do? Hang on, let me just see if I can find it in my little book here. Actually, I could probably just recite it without even looking at it. So it's folk divination. So... so there's obviously many forms of like folk divination for Midsummer that can be found in the traditions of various cultures. Probably the best known is using a daisy for a simple love divination. So you pluck out the petals of a daisy.
He loves me.
He loves me. He loves me not. He loves me. He loves me not.
Wow.
So that, even though like it's and I'm sure like listeners.
We used to do that when we were kids. All the
exactly.
time.
Everyone did that when they were kids.
Out on the school oval or something, when something would pop up, we'd get it and you'd do the little, he loves me.
Do you know the funniest thing about me is that I used to sit with, because I had a lot of girlfriends in primary school, like not girlfriends meaning like significant others, but like my friends were all female. Yeah.
Yes.
My friends were all female. So when we would play kiss chasey, I would always run away, but it's funny, like I never wanted to be kissed by anyone. And I never knew why. And then when I would play with the girls at primary school, so shout out to all the Maralinga folk, you guys know what I'm talking about. Because I would always run away from the kiss chasey. But then when I played with the girls, they would sit around plucking the petals out of daisy going, he loves me not. And I would also do it too, because I thought that's just the word you had to say. Like, you're supposed to say she loves me not. I'm like, but you don't. You say he loves me not. Little did I know, running away from girls kissing you and saying he loves me,
and saying he loves me might be a bit of a hint.
I think I must have known on some level.
I must have.
I must have. So that was one of their practices that has obviously survived the...
So that's where it came from. I love that.
It's actually a form of folk divination. So obviously whichever petal you end on with, he loves me not, will tell you if he loves you. The other one is like, oftentimes girls would go into the forest. There's my cat again. Just sit down. Just sit. So they would go out into the fields and they would grab a whole bunch of daisies, and then they would count how many daisies they had, and depending on how many daisies they plucked from the ground, that would determine how many years until they got married. So Kat, can you not
it's kind of like a little bit of a not quite, but a little bit of when you throw the flowers, when you throw the bouquet at like a wedding and you catch it, that's the next time you get married kind of thing.
Pretty much.
Wow.
So yeah, because they would have to close their eyes and obviously just reach for a handful. Then there's one more superstition that if you took the flowers from beneath an oak tree on Midsummer's Eve and tucked them under your pillow, you would dream of the person you would marry.
Ooh.
And then more specifically, a Welsh tradition said that if you washed your clothes at a well at midnight and chanted, "He who would be my partner, let him come and wash with me," then your lover would come and help you with the laundry.
Oh, that's nice.
Hmm.
Isn't that a nice one? Oh, look, maybe I should do that all the time. See if I can get her to come and help me with the washing. Oh, I love that though. That's cool.
Bring it to more modern times, because as you guys know, I read tarot.
Yes.
I've got another form of divination. This is more modern divination. So it's where you can do a tarot sun spread. So you basically, with this one, so it's a little bit more up to date. So you can do a summer solstice tarot spread. So it's quite simple. So don't worry if you're not a pro at reading tarot. So you shuffle the cards, and while thinking of your question or issue, then you lay out 6 cards in a circle with their ends pointing out so that the spread looks like a sun. So they're pointing.
Yep. Comes all the way around.
And then the cards should be placed all at once, facing down, and then turned up one by one. The bottom card represents you or the person you're reading, who you're reading for. The next card to the left represents a situation or question. Continuing around the circle, sun-wise, like in the direction of the sun.
Yeah.
The following card represents the obstacles that stand in your way, then possible solutions to those obstacles, guidance or suggestions to give you direction, and then finally the future card to the right of the card you started out with. So that would be the future. So you'd literally go around
all the way
and
around.
interpret all of those. But yeah, so that's
a
another
really
thing
great
that you
practice.
could do.
Yeah, that's a really great practice to do.
Because you know that every Sabbath I always do tarot.
Yeah, that's right. But it's a nice way of having a particular spread for that.
That's honoring the sun
as well. Yeah, that's right. It's honoring the sun. That's
right.
Cool.
Then, I mean, I don't know how much further you wanted me to go. Obviously, you could do a 3 rune reading for those that are into runes.
Yeah. I like runes.
So they're very popular basically in Germanic and Norse culture that consider Midsummer to be one of the most important holidays of the year. Yep. So for an easy summer solstice divination with rune stones, you can pull 3 runes without looking. And the first one you put down will represent the year behind you so far.
Yep.
The second is the present day, and the third is the remainder of the current year. And you can either ask a question of the runes before you pull them, such as like, will I find love this year? Or just wait and see what comes up. So you do past, present.
So it's like a past, present, future one, but of that year.
But using runes. I'll admit I'm not that proficient in runes. I've tried so many times, but...
Yeah, I'm still learning. I've got a bit rusty. I was quite good for a little while there, but now I've got a little bit rusty. I've got to get back into scrubbing off some of that information again.
So maybe if there's anyone out there, if you guys know of any valuable sources that, we could share with our listeners to learn about runes, because it's something that I've got plenty of books on it, but or even if you know someone that does this publicly or has a podcast or a website or something where they talk about runes, we would love to be put in contact with them, because I'd love to bring in like a expert.
Yeah, it's because that's something I'm absolutely fascinated with. I love it.
So am I, but I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
And the last divination I have for you is a dream divination. So 2 of the herbs associated with Midsummer are mugwort and lavender.
Yeah.
And they're also herbs that have been used for centuries to encourage prophetic dreams. So you can place some of each in a small drawstring bag or sachet, and add a bit of chamomile if you like for good sleep. And if you have a question, you can write it down on a slip of paper and put it in the bag along with the herbs, or ask it aloud as you lay down in bed. And then you tuck the bag under your pillow, and perhaps you would dream of the answer.
Oh.
Look at me getting into my herbs.
I know. Look at you. Yay.
Who would have thought?
I know. I love it.
Little Miss Herb.
Rubbing off. I know. It's all rubbing
slowly.
Off.
I'm writing lists. I'm looking at herbs. I'm growing plants.
Yes, you're growing plants. You got things drying. I love it.
I'm actually drying some lavender as we speak.
Yep. I was going to say perfect timing.
Yes.
Perfect.
Because that's actually something I'm going to be doing. So I haven't made them yet, but I bought these Christmas baubles. This is the good thing about Litha being around Christmas
time. Yeah.
Because I bought these
Supplies.
I bought these like Christmas baubles, which is just plastic. And the actual
just clear ones.
The lids, the little lid just clips out of it. But these had like some kind of Australian looking faux leaves and berries and whatever inside them.
Yeah.
Because I just picked these up from Target, like nothing fancy. I think they're like $4 each or something. But I basically bought them and just took all the insides out. Only because I couldn't be bothered waiting for something from Amazon or eBay.
That's right.
And then the intention is I'm drying the lavender because for Litha, I actually want to create some little witches balls. So I want to put some cinnamon, some lavender. What else did we say that we were going to put in? Oh God, I can't remember now.
I can't remember now.
Oh, I'll give you guys an update closer to
it all.
when I've actually done it. I'll share it with you.
Juniper berries.
Yeah. So it's basically all the things that are used for protection, consecration, and blessing. So mixing them all together.
Yeah, that kind of twofold thing of like a nice little house blessing protection.
Yeah. Although then my husband did say to me, and where are you planning on hanging those? I'm like, all over the house. He's like,
everywhere.
That's a choice. Like, yes. And it's the choice.
It's a great choice. It's a fabulous choice. It's a choice I'm going to be going with.
Just think of all the amazing things that we're going to be doing with them.
Yeah, that's it.
Nikki, did you have some more?
I did. I had some other stuff. So these are sort of some other kind of bit more personal things, I guess, that you could do, like add into a meditation or something like that as well, because kind of going with the theme, like if you follow sort of the Wiccan mythos that goes with the wheel of the year, which is that the sun, so the god is in his mantle as the Sun King. So it's at that peak of power, and the goddess is pregnant with the baby. So that's kind of significant to the bountiful land and all of the fruits and vegetables and flowers and things like that are all around. So it's a really great time to just maybe sit down and do a little bit of contemplation on what has been bountiful in your life at this time. So what's your harvest, or those first harvests, those first things, and to kind of have a little bit of an assessment and have a little bit of a look. All of these Sabbats are really great times to stop and actually contemplate what's happening in your life. Because we all know that like the inner is what is reflected to the outer kind of
the
thing.
macrocosm thing.
Yeah. So if we can look within it, it has that external thing. So what's bountiful in your life, and then also what might be blocking your harvest or releasing fear and sadness, things like that, especially.
What may be blocking your harvest?
I don't know. I'm being metaphorical.
Your personal harvest.
My personal harvest of because that's the thing. It really is. If you look at it, it's all an agricultural festival. I'm not going to talk anymore now.
No, don't. No, don't. Please keep going. I'm just losing my shit, guys. Like, she's looking at me pulling faces because every time she talks about her personal harvest.
I do. When I start to talk like metaphorical stuff, he always looks at me like...
It always becomes so sexually charged.
It's not.
Harvesting. Hi, Karen. Oh my God, that could be a new T-shirt. We could put
Hi, Karen. She would love that. So, back to what I was saying.
Yes.
That we can look at these festivals as a metaphor. No, I'm not going to go there at all. Okay, so look at what's bountiful in your life. Get rid of the things that are blocking you in your life. Release it, because it is still a fire kind of ceremony. And also, just even though you can't have a physical fire, the sun is just bloody hot for us here at the moment. So you've got that. You can have a candle.
You can have a candle, or you can do
you can have a candle, burn it,
where you're burning something, like, you know what I mean, like, you know.
Yeah, you can still incorporate those kind of things. So so that's a good time to contemplate. It's also really, because it is about there is that kind of traditional aspect of the harvest. Like in Welsh, I think you mentioned in Welsh it was gathering day, so it's gathering those first fruits and stuff. So I know definitely around here, I'm not sure about other places, but we have like farms that are open where you can go pick your own cherries.
Yeah, cherry picking season
and things like that.
Perfect for Christmas.
That's it. And go out and do things like that, because it's also something that's associated with the solstice, but it's something you can do perhaps with your family that's a little bit less out there and obvious, but it's still something that you're kind of getting in touch with the season a little bit.
And that's also, on that note, is another way that you can incorporate, because like a lot of people don't realize it, because people think Christmas Day, they think eating cherries. Like, I know a lot of families that they literally have a fresh bowl of cherries at Christmas, and a lot of people are like, oh, but Christmas isn't really about cherries. It's like, well, in Australia it is, because it's technically our summer solstice. So that's cherry season.
And
so that's a nice way that you can celebrate Christmas being a
Yes.
secular holiday, I'm not talking about it from a religious sense, a secular Christmas, you can
Yeah.
incorporate cherry picking and eating cherries at Christmas time, which then kind of merges the two.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It brings that nice little element that you can sneak into it.
I
So
love a good fruit picking session, no? I
yes,
love a good
I do too. It's brilliant. We also have here, I love from I think it's from October through till March, we have strawberry picking.
Oh, delish.
Oh,
Last time, well, we didn't
oh,
actually go to pick, but we went down to the Mornington Peninsula with some friends of ours. Shout out to
yeah.
Joel and Rick if you're listening. Um, and we went to a strawberry farm, and we didn't actually pick, but we went into the actual farm itself, and you could buy like a box of like
Yeah.
monstrous
And they're the
strawberries.
best tasting strawberries
Oh,
you ever have,
better than
ever,
anything you get from a
ever.
supermarket.
Yeah,
Yeah, way
definitely.
better. And they're like monstrous in size, and they taste delicious. I mean, they cost
Yeah,
an arm and a leg, but that's worth it.
that's okay. It's
Um,
worth it.
and they also, while they're there, they make this delicious strawberry, like a it's not gelato. What is it? It's like that
Oh,
kind of it's that kind of a thing. Like it's a
yeah, like that, or like a sorbet kind of.
sorbet. That's the word I'm looking
Yep.
for. Thank you, thank you. But they make a strawberry sorbet, and it's oh my god, it's just delish. When you can have
Yum.
freshly made strawberry sorbet from freshly
Yes.
picked strawberries, to die for, to die
Yes.
for.
Yum. Yum,
Um,
yum, yum.
yes. So I'm
But
a
yeah.
fan of this time of year because it's like
Yeah,
all
me
the
too.
yummy
There's all this
things,
stuff. Yeah.
all the yum things.
It is because it is. It's a lot of all the fruits and things for us, all the fruits and veggies and lots of different fruits, like all the beautiful juicy. Oh, I love it. I love this time of the year. You're right.
It's delish.
It is. It's delish.
So
So on that, I guess we can how it is. We have that whole conundrum of Christmas and solstice.
yes. So well, one of the ones that you taught me, Vicky, which
Yes.
because 2020 has been such a shitty year,
Yeah,
I decided like I
really
mean
has.
we're actually recording this. It's
We're a little bit
2:22.
early. Oh, there we go.
2:22.
Look
Thank
at
you,
that.
Andrews.
2.
So it's actually the 25th of November. So we're a month ahead pretty much of when we're recording this. But I actually have had my Christmas tree up for a little while now. Just because it's been a shitty year and my husband's working from home a lot. So let's just bring a bit of cheer into the house.
Yep.
Plus we're hosting Christmas this year. So we kind of want to like gradually build on
We
it.
need plenty
So
of
it's
time.
not,
I was gonna
yeah,
yeah, that's it. You can
exactly.
fluff it to how you want it all and decorate. I love
Yeah.
it.
And so I've gone with the traditional red and green colors for Christmas, but then
Yep.
I've incorporated so that I can bring a bit of Litha. I've got the
Yes.
silver and gold in there as well,
Beautiful.
which is what you
Yes.
taught me.
That's
Because I was
that's
like, how do
what
I do this? Oh, Exhibit A, guys. Like,
Yeah.
this is a 2-for-1 kind of deal because this is just
Yeah.
from Kmart. Like, it's not even expensive.
No,
But
so that's
it's a
just
little
it's
styrofoam deer that's been covered in silver and gold glitter. And I have this one that stands at the front of my house, so it greets people as they come in because I've got other red ones as well because they're more Christmassy. But this one I
yeah.
sit with there because it's my way of bringing in the summer solstice. Equally,
Yeah.
what was I going to say now? I just lost my train of thought. Equally, I mean, the horned god.
Yeah, that's right. It's still that like Serenos is one that's really associated with that.
Yep. And also, like, I
It's
mean,
beautiful.
Pan, any of the gods that have their horns, it's
Yeah,
usually a
the
time
horned
of year for
god.
them. Hence me wearing my mask at the start of this episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
But that's it's a really easy and beautiful way that you can actually start to incorporate the two, because I mean, I know that this can be quite a controversial subject sometimes in I guess the wider pagan community and things like that. And it is something that I struggled with for a long time, especially when I was in the coven, because we really celebrated all of the Sabbats with rituals and things like that. So it kind of become this whole thing of, oh, it's the wrong time of year. But like you, and I think it's been more so even since we've been talking a lot more as well, is that we start to look at them like Christmas is just a holiday kind of thing. It's not, for me, it has no religious significance or anything like
neither
that.
me. It used to, but not anymore.
Yeah, and it never has. Like I've never been brought up Christian or anything like that, so we didn't have that religious aspect to it. It was literally just a great time where all of my family always got together and you have great food and drinks and catch up. So that's what it's about. But now it's nice to now be able to bring in, so that's how I do it as well. How we said I bring in the gold. So maybe use gold decorations and things like that, or things that have more sun aspect to them. So incorporate those into your decorations and things like that.
Absolutely. Because like, I mean, where was it? So the colors that are associated with this one is gold, green, orange, red, white, and yellow. So
Yeah.
it's extremely easy to decorate your house for Christmas using those colors.
That's it. And you can buy baubles, you can buy all of the stuff. I've even
Uh-huh.
seen, I saw the other day on Facebook, which I thought was great. I saw a Christmas tree that was completely decorated with sunflowers.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
yeah, it actually looked really cool, but I thought that's a really cool way of incorporating it as well. Which, on that note, that is something that my daughter and I do.
You do?
We do. We plant sunflowers. So we often,
Ah.
so actually, usually just a little bit after Beltane or a little bit early, about now, we start to plant them, and we'll often give them to people in our family. And that's kind of a little way that we can incorporate
Something a little witchy into your
little bit
Christmas
witchy, a
gifts.
little bit solstice-y, and a little bit So yeah.
Well, because that's on the note of flowers, and then I'm going to circle back to sunflowers specifically.
Yes.
So we've got like the flowers that are associated with this solstice are chamomile, daisy, heather, lavender, marigold, meadowsweet, and rose.
Yeah.
But then also when it comes to sunflowers, so the foods that are associated with this time of year, as we've already touched on a few of these, is berries, cheese, cinnamon toast, or anything really made with cinnamon, grapes, honey, lemons, oranges, peaches, pears, pine nuts, pumpernickel bread, spinach, summer squash, sunflower seeds, and sun-dried tomatoes. So realistically, any of those things, which is like, if you want to kind of join the two, if you want a subtle way of celebrating Litha or the summer solstice during Christmas time, just cook foods or prepare foods that have those in it. Like you could easily whip up a nice cheese board because it says cheese, put some berries, put some like bits of like
go pick some
and
cherries
peaches and pine nuts or whatever, sunflower seeds. You can make a nice little like what they call it, a charcuterie board or something like that, with all those things on it. Like
on there.
yeah,
and that's beautiful, and it's a beautiful way of incorporating it all. Go pick your cherries and put your cherries on there as well, and all that sort of stuff. Because it's that time of, and that's what it is as well, like the whole summer solstice, and that's what it is, I guess, throughout the whole world, whether it's now or they're celebrating it in 6 months' time, is that it is a celebration. It's a time to gather with people and celebrate and feast and enjoy all of those foods and things like that, which pairs well with Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously though, you have to kind of, you just have to accept the fact that around Christmas time, you're going to be singing Christmas carols, which are all about snow.
Yes. That's the thing that still always is kind of, that I've always had a little bit of problem, because it's so much winter symbolism. And for us, like, it's not unheard of to have like a 40+ degree day on Christmas Day. I'm like,
for those in North America, that's 102.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like,
102 Fahrenheit is 40.
It's like, I ain't thinking about snow. I'm trying to find a pool.
I'm dying.
Yeah. That's it. So but that's how you can then like bringing the gold and things like that in there.
Yeah, make it just a little bit more summery with your thing.
Yeah, with you, and it makes it nice and bright as well.
This is why for us Christmas, like, I mean, I know in the States and in Canada and places like that, like their Christmas feasts are usually like you having things like well, actually no, that's more of a Thanksgiving. They're doing a lot of pumpkin pie and stuff, but like the season, basically from the from Halloween, and then you've got Thanksgiving, and then you've got Christmas. That whole season, the holiday season, it's a lot of like pumpkin and pecan and oh god, what else? Cherries, like cherry pie, things like that. Turkey with cranberry sauce. But that's like,
which are all those autumn and like your root vegetables and things like that. So it's all those things that you would normally harvest in, say, like your autumn and things like that. Whereas I know that up there,
if you try to eat those at Christmas in Australia, you'd be like asleep by 2:00.
Yeah, I mean, it's the time for us. It's a time for barbecues and catching up with people, salads. We got
barbecue, salads, fruits, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, fruits, all that, cheese boards, things like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so our really Christmas feasts are very different to the Americas. Yeah. Some of the other correspondences. So I'm going to focus on the Southern Hemisphere, because obviously the ones in the North don't make as much sense because it's like the wrong time of year. So we'll talk about the Southern Hemisphere. So religious events that occur around Litha. There's obviously Advent, which is the date varies, but it's basically involves the 4 Sundays before Christmas. There's Chalika, which is the first week in December. There's St. Barbara's Day, which is December 4th, or Sanghamitra Day, which is Buddhist. That's the first full moon in December in Sri Lanka. There's Hanukkah, which is Jewish. St. Nicholas Day, December 6th. Bodhi Day, which is Buddha's Enlightenment Day on December 8th. There's the Lady of Guadalupe, which is December 12th, St. Lucia's Day on December 13th, Saturnalia, which is December 17th to 23rd. It's the Roman calendar. You then have Christmas or 12-tide, which is the 12 days of Christmas, the 12th night, which is January 5th, and Epiphany, which is January 6th, or Orthodox Christmas, which is January 7th. And then for secular ones, you have Krampusnacht, which is in Alpine Europe on December 6th. You know Krampus? Have you ever seen Krampus? Yeah. Then you have Boxing Day, which is the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. That's December 26th. And New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, which is December 31st and January 1st. So like there's plenty of holidays that we celebrate around the summer solstice that you can quite easily like tell your friends, hey, like if you're a bit of a closet witch and you're not quite out of the broom closet, you can just say, hey, come over for a Boxing Day barbecue.
Yeah, that's it. Because I
It's
mean,
like,
that's what
psych, I'm celebrating the solstice, bitches.
That's it. Because I mean, that's what it is. It's about, because especially for us through the summer, like that's when all the festivals are usually on. People are getting out in parks. You're having barbecues, daylight saving. So the days, so the light is a little bit longer, which it normally is anyway. But I won't go into the whole daylight savings things. But that's what it is. It's that time of gathering and catching up with people and going out, going to the beach is a big thing. Down here and things like that as well. So yeah, it's catching up with people and having little celebrations on different days, and you can sneak it in.
And you can do, I mean, obviously, depending on where you live, you might be able to do a bonfire, but if you can't, you fire pit if you're allowed, but if you're not allowed, candle. You can do circle dancing. You can have communion with the fairies, divination, feasting, gathering herbs. Hand fastings or weddings are common over summer for us.
Yep.
So if you're not sure of your date and you want to be witchy, do it on the summer solstice.
Do it on summer solstice.
And then you can have rolling wheels that are set on fire. Don't do that in Australia.
But don't do that here.
No, not here.
Please don't do that.
Staying awake through the entire short night from dawn on Midsummer Day to the following dawn.
Oh, party hardy.
Yeah, exactly. Or there's like torchlight processionals as well that you could do.
Yeah, that's a big thing. But you could make like a summer solstice incense blend. Like if that's something that you're into, you know, I love herbs. So you can make like a little blend.
And in order to do that, I would probably be sticking to, so the ones that are traditionally used around this time are things like cinnamon, foxglove, mistletoe, mugwort, rosemary, St. John's wort, vervain, yarrow. Is there any others that I've misheard?
I've got some others, chamomile, you said, angelica, basil, bay. I'm trying to think what other ones you haven't mentioned. Saffron, sunflower, thyme. Yeah, no, that's pretty much. Sort of.
So you can make a little.
Yeah, you can make your own little blend. Make your own little blend, and you can burn it on charcoal. Or if you want to, if you can't do the whole charcoal thing, you can also put it in like an oil burner with a carrier oil, and then just do it that way.
And then another thing you could do around this time of year, because remember, for us in the Southern Hemisphere, it is a time of giving because it's around Christmas. And you don't Christmas. I always see it as a time to give gifts. Like I would like to give at Christmas. I also like to receive. Heads up to anyone that wants to buy me a present, you can. But you could, if you're wanting to do acts of service, you could give money or time to a solar energy project.
What a great idea.
It's a modern day spin on it. Or you could plant trees, especially ones which will provide fruit or berries to feed birds and wildlife.
Yeah, getting that, doing all the native things.
Exactly. You could volunteer at a food kitchen, feeding those who need help.
Yeah.
Or you could volunteer at an animal shelter. Because like if we think for bushfire season, it's very common for us to find animals that are stray and that need to be looked after around the bushfire season because it's like they've lost their habitat or whatever. That's my cat walking around me.
And also just from the heat as well. We have a lot of trouble with the poor little things with the heat.
That's another
dry
thing.
Season as well. Down
also,
south it's dry anyway.
Make sure you put a bucket of water out if you live near any wildlife.
Yeah.
Can't stress that enough. Summer solstice, because like you said, as I said, some of the ancient traditions were all about water. And it's definitely something that you need to incorporate because it is a sun festival, but you can still incorporate water in many ways. And one of the ways I like to do that is to be able to offer water to the wildlife because it's still a way of being nature-based and a way of like making sure that they're looked after because it's the hottest time of year for us down here.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. It's a little bit different for us here because it's not quite the beautiful, bountiful flowers and everything everywhere. It's quite dry, and then we're coming into what's going to be our hottest sort of time of the year. So making sure that we're looking after those around us is a big thing.
Yeah,
making sure we've got water out and things like that.
Yes. So I mean, I've pretty much covered all of my list. Have you got anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think we've kind of covered everything.
Okay. Well, if you guys want more information, so I've been referring to this book, which I call as I have this whole series because I'm that guy who has to have the whole set. It's Llewellyn Sabbath Essentials. So Llewellyn Publishing does these. So this one is the one on Midsummer. So it's the Llewellyn Sabbath Essentials, Rituals, Recipes, and Lore for Litha. So it's the Midsummer book. I'm holding it up for those looking on YouTube. So you should be able to get it from any witchy stores. Otherwise, I believe Llewellyn.com. You could probably even find someone who stocks it, or just look on try to support your local bookstores, but if they don't have it, then you can always go to Amazon and things like that. I mean, I'm not anti-Amazon because I can get things cheap.
No.
I'm sorry, but it's true. Sometimes going to the little stores can be super expensive, and I'm a witch on a budget. So
yep, that's it. Sometimes we've got to weigh it up.
Yes. I mean, I do still support my local. Hence,
me too.
Hence, shout out to one more time, Elfheim, to Rye if you're listening, as well as Spellbox as well is another local store. I mean, there's a whole list of them. I could.
I know there's lots. So just have a look. Do a Google search of what's around you and go have a look. And
the trick is to type metaphysical supply stores.
Yes.
Metaphysical supply stores. Yeah. If you type which store, they'll be like, what?
Nah, you won't get it all. Metaphysical is the way to go.
Yeah. But yeah. I think that's all from us today. So
I think that is.
Hopefully
Happy
you guys enjoyed.
Solstice.
Exactly. What did we say we're going to call it? Happy Yule Litha? Merry
Yule
Yule Litha?
Merry Yule Litha.
Yeah, because it's like Yule and Litha at the same time. It's like our Halloween name. Yeah.
I love it.
But until next time, guys, don't forget, you can always send us a message. Keep in contact with us. We love hearing from you.
We love hearing from people.
I'm going to do a shout out to a couple of key people. So there's Laurie, and also Stacey, and also Karen. Karen, we always give you a shout out. But yes, those three we know are our number 1, 2, and 3 fan.
No.
But yes, if you want a shout out, just message us.
Just have a chat.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Have an amazing day.
Have fun. Happy solstice. Bye.